Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Naughty Neighbours. First up we have 5 out-of-control dogs in a 2-bed mid-terrace by Successful League 840. Okay, so I moved in a few years ago. I got along well with my neighbours despite constant dog noise until very recently. Next door plus one has now become hostile towards me and my cat because they can't control their dogs. Their dogs bark frequently, but not constantly. Each time lasts 30 to 40 seconds. For example, if I have my rear window open and empty the dishwasher, they bark. If I exit the front door or back of my house, they bark. If I do anything in my back garden, they bark. If a bird lands on their bird feeder, they bark. When I have a delivery, they bark. If a plane flies overhead, they bark. Anyway, you get the picture. They live in a small 2-bedroom mid-terrace house. The rear garden is at most 6 meters by 3 meters. The dogs get walked at most 3 times a week. I feel sorry for the dogs and fully blame the owners for their behavior. Aside from looking up if the RSPCA or local council can do anything, they can't or won't unless noise is constant, or the dogs are actively being beaten, etc. I have never complained about their dog's noise to them. A few months ago, while I was in my garden, I noticed one of them scattering something along the shared alleyway behind our houses. Curious, when I went to take the bins out, I had a look. From the look and smell, it was a combination of garlic granules and red pellets. I looked up what the pellets could be and found they mostly resembled rat poison pellets. Up until now, there had been no disagreement, no arguments, and no issues over my cat. I only allow my cat out during the day, and he only goes out the rest of my house. He generally stays close to home, entering near neighbors' gardens and using the back alleyway. Anyway, after seeing the rat poison and garlic granules, also poisonous to cats, I sprinkled wet sawdust on top and messaged my neighbor. The message I sent: "Hi, just wanted to check in and see if everything is okay. I noticed there are some garlic granules and red pellets put down the alleyway. Garlic is poisonous to cats and other wildlife like hedgehogs, so I sprinkled some sawdust over it to be safe." I didn't get a reply to my message. Instead, the next time I was in my garden, across my closest neighbor's garden, I get an "Oi, we own that alleyway and you can't just throw sawdust down. Your cat has been upsetting our dogs, and if you had a problem you should have knocked on our door." So I responded with something along the lines of, "We all own that alleyway, and garlic granules are poisonous to cats and hedgehogs, so I covered it. My cat walks up and down there, and I don't want him getting hurt." In response to this, they say, "We can do what we want with our own property, and wouldn't need to if you kept your cat inside. Besides, the cat won't eat it unless it's stupid." At this point I was pissed. "So you tried to poison my cat because your dogs bark at anything and everything. Why didn't you knock on my door if you had an issue with the cat? This is ridiculous. It's a shared alleyway that we all use. Don't put harmful substances down." At that, I walked away from the conversation. I could hear them loudly complaining to each other, but just ignored it and them since. After this incident, they started spending more time in both front and back garden. In the evening, loudly playing music several times a week, making spending time in my garden far from relaxing. During the day, they would often be sat in their front garden glaring at me, sometimes making comments about me being rude as I come and go, as well as muttering under their breath. All while their dogs bark and do nothing to correct their dog's behavior. So for over a month I've been unable to enjoy my garden, and have to explain to visitors why the neighbors are glaring at me and them, and why their dogs bark all the time at nothing. I haven't engaged since the garden incident, but the issue just seems to be getting worse. Am I being ridiculous? Did I overreact? What would you do at this point if it were me? I mean, I can't help but notice at no point did they deny putting poison down. I definitely tell somebody in authority. They may not be able to do anything, but you kind of want to establish a history about the putting down of the likely poison. Keep an eye on the noise as to how long they're doing it. If it's after, I think, 11 p.m. in the UK, call the cops. by all means, and maybe even report them to, let's see. They say they own the alleyway, so I'm guessing they must own their house if they think they own the property behind it, which of course they don't. I would definitely consider getting a camera of some kind, whether it's a Ring doorbell camera or something like that, just to keep an eye on what's going on front and back. Something that wouldn't be super obtrusive. You can get white ones, black ones to blend in, depending on the colour of your door. And for now, I would just keep the kitty indoors, maybe just in your garden. It'd be a shame if they weren't allowed outside at all. You shouldn't have to do that. They should be able to wander around a bit. But I wouldn't trust the neighbours at this point. Well, you are technically right. There is no restriction on how many dogs a person can own. They do have to be taking care of the dogs, and it doesn't sound like they're taking the best care of them. It's probably worth keeping an eye on. But the continual barking, I think that might be a problem. It's certainly disturbing the peace, and you have a right to, well, quiet enjoyment is generally what they can call it. You should be able to exist in your home in peace, and I doubt you're the only person living in that neighbourhood who has a problem with it. So I'd talk to the other neighbours, at least anyone you're friendly with, see what they think, and it might be worth it if other people were to also report them. They get enough complaints, they'll have to do something about it. Story number 2 is anonymous. Okay, this one's kind of formatted like a list. Ever since I moved to my current neighbourhood, my security cameras, and also myself, have caught him. 1 walking onto my driveway and sidewalk to peek into our garage when nobody was home a few times. Number 2 taking a detour from his street next to my street to walk slowly with his dog in front of my house, and our security cameras catch that multiple times a day, every day. 3 ignoring me when I first moved here, and I tried to be nice and say hi to him, be neighbourly like. Number 4, wandering around the neighbourhood waiting to run into me when I walk my dog, as if running into me is some sort of prize to him. He does this daily. I'd estimate that over the past year he's probably run into me on more days than he hasn't. 5, acting extremely shocked when he saw me getting a grocery delivery. Just jealous that you can afford a grocery delivery. He has to go to the shop and pick his up. 6, dropping a bag of dog poo on my driveway, and furthermore to that, someone in this neighbourhood also recently dropped 2 bags of dog poo by the new Indian family neighbour's house. Even though they put out a friendly no dog poo sign here, that should go without saying, shouldn't it? Don't drop your shit here. Thank you. Acting like he's best friends with my neighbours on my street when he saw me walking my dog. 8, writing me an unsolicited note asking certain things regarding my backyard plants, which have nothing to do with him or his property. I did hire professionals to trim the apple trees by my side of my fence not long ago, and otherwise they're not infringing on his property. 9, watching my backyard from his bedroom window, often one-handed I assume. 9, watching my backyard from his bedroom window. Let's pretend it's not one-handed. 10, he often lets out his loud dog to bark from his backyard when he sees me reading, relaxing, pretty much doing anything in my backyard. As an easygoing person who never wants to pick a fight or initiate an argument with strangers, I found this old fella to be a particularly stubborn old git. I'm rephrasing this a little bit for the OP, just to make it harder to find. It feels like he thinks that by showing up to my home, or accidentally running into me in the neighbourhood, is some sort of success. I've learned to match his energy by completely ignoring him when encountering him. I do not talk, I make no reactions, I just stare blankly if he happens to walk in front of my house each day. Sometimes I'll walk my dog in front of his house to return the favour, He seems to get a touch agitated when I do this, because he would usually show up coinky-dinkly with his dog in my street 30 minutes later. Any suggestions or comments? Well, the first suggestion, and you're not going to like this, is stop going in front of his house deliberately, stop doing anything to antagonize him. Taking the approach of ignoring him is 100% the right thing to do, because I expect he's an older fella, I believe he was, you described. The creepy character Herbert. Okay. Imagine Herbert from Family Guy. If he's an older fella, he's probably not learned to use the internet, so he's so bored with his life that this is entertainment for him. Maybe his TV broke, or he doesn't know how to read. Oh wait, you know what? He must know how to read. Damn. But yeah, getting a rise out of you is what he wants, but only in the way that he wants. So I wouldn't antagonize him further, so I would, difficult though it is, ignore him. I usually tell people to have cameras, but you've already got them, so you've got plenty of footage of him and his shenanigans, so if he actually does anything actionable, you've caught him red-handed. So I just keep observing him. He's unlikely to escalate things further than he is. And it seems that you're not the only neighbour the old racist prick is harassing. But yeah, just keep an eye on him. You'll eventually get bored. I know that's not really the best advice in the world, but people like him usually get a new hobby eventually. Number 3 is Trying to Keep Peace with a Neighbour by American Wonder. We have lived in our apartment for about a year and just re-signed our lease. Recently we had our downstairs neighbour, they have been here for about 4 to 6 months, knock on our door, and ask if we could be quiet as her husband works night and sleeps from 4:30 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. She said we wake him up between 6:30 to 7 a.m., and then again around 1:30 to 2 p.m., so not really a very long window then, so he should shut the fuck up and nut up. She mainly complained about our running kids. We only have one, but she mentioned multiples several times. And it's 6:30 to 7 a.m, not even awake yet. Is my husband getting ready for work? He's not running laps, he just uses the restroom. Gets dressed, makes his coffee, walks the dog and leaves all under 30 minutes. Yeah, unless your husband is the noisiest shitter in the world, I don't see how that's a problem. They're probably just being overly sensitive. Don't know where the 1:30 to 2 p.m. stems from, as several times a week the kiddo has summer activities that we're gone for the majority of the afternoon for. And during the school year, not home until 4 p.m. at the earliest. She's mentioned that it's better on weekends, probably because we're not home. I said I don't leave on weekends because I don't like crowds, and we don't have our weekly activities then. And school let out just 5 weeks ago, and we were always home on weekends during school to allow us to decompress from schedules. She seemed surprised when I told her this information that we haven't been around, and as it was when she just got done telling me her husband is just exhausted by the lack of sleep because of the noise. I tried to reason with her about I'll hold off running the vacuum, laundry, or dishwasher until later in the day, but she continued to complain, and it's only about our toilet flushing. She's complaining about the toilet flushing, grow up, and the kids running. That's what they do. She even went so far as to say that our toilet flushing is too much for him, and we were being too noisy with that. Also, the kiddo mostly plays in the opposite bedroom during the day, plays puzzles, colours the majority of the day. I do not let chaos ensue constantly around the house, especially as we get later in the day. And she admitted at night we're super quiet. Kid is in bed by 8 or 9 p.m, and we're in bed by 9 or 10 p.m. Now, I know you can hear everything in these apartments. My neighbours, right, she's not cut out for apartment living. Some people aren't, and that's fine. But don't make it everybody else's problem. I think that's what's happening here. My neighbours upstairs from me, I could hear them shit and shower and fucking fight. I'm assuming that's all in the same night. And they fought a lot. Bad throwing shit. Chasing each other around fights. I mean, that could have been the fucking. Some other neighbours called the cops on them, according to the office. I made a complaint to the leasing office one night when I was woken at 2 a.m. with them screaming and wrestling with each other. From my experience dealing with them, nothing can be done from the apartment without a police report. Police will only respond if it's outside of city noise ordinance of 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. Friday to Sunday. And will deem if it's outside of normal living noises, like if we're blaring music or a dog barking all night. I really don't know how to handle this, as legally and lease-wise we're in the clear. The other part of me is I don't want drama, and I understand the noisy neighbour ordeal. I have sympathy for her husband, as mine used to do night work. But at the same time it pissed me off that she expects us to walk on eggshells when the whole world is awake and living. Like, not use my toilet so much. Oh, I'll bet she's got a full bowl at all times, hasn't she? And a kid that barely does anything crazy inside can't even be in our house, just seems like a crazy request. Complaining about my husband simply getting ready for work. She even told me she had no clue we had a dog because she doesn't hear any dog noises. A friend said just keep doing what I normally do and let her handle it with the office if she has a problem. Thoughts, yeah, listen to your friend. I mean, just point out you're not living any differently than you did previously. You've been there longer than them. No one else has ever had any complaints against you. This is a them problem. They're not apartment people. They shouldn't be in an apartment. And that's the long and the short of it. I mean, I say this as someone who almost certainly wouldn't be an apartment person. That's why I don't live in one. Well, many reasons, but I like my house. Alright, story number 4 is The Road Police by ThinkSquash4097. Hi y'all, I'm just here to rant and get some advice on how to handle this situation. For some context, I recently moved back into my parents with my boyfriend, as we are expecting and saving up for a house of our own. We are both 22, which I think is the main reason as to why this keeps happening to us. And our house is on the opposite side of a cul-de-sac, and our neighbours, a married couple with 2 young kids, live in the middle of the cul-de-sac. The speed limit on our road is 40 kilometers per hour. We have noticed that since we moved 2 months ago, this specific neighbourhood couple has been constantly watching us drive home. They have asked us to slow down, repeatedly as their kids play on the road. Oh, magic fucking idea. Don't play on the road. Even though we are doing the speed limit and slow down when we notice the kids are outside. Shouldn't be on the road. Roads are not for playing. This afternoon has been the 4th time they have approached us. 2nd time of them talking just to me, as the other times were directed at my boyfriend. I was in the car both times and saw the speedometer of him going either under or the posted speed limit. I'm going to be honest and say that I was a little less kind this time. Excellent. The other few times we have apologized. No, don't be doing that no more. And explained that we were doing the speed limit, and when we saw her children were outside, we slowed down. This time I was actively going the speed limit. There were no kids outside, and I slowed down to get into the driveway safely. I sat in my car for a bit as I was messaging a few friends back, and the wife waited outside my driveway for around 15 minutes for me to get out of the car to ask me again to slow down when going to the cul-de-sac. I told her, frankly, I was going the speed limit. I always slow down when I notice her children are playing outside, and they weren't outside when I was driving down the road, as well as that I'm honestly sick of them coming to complain when we aren't doing anything wrong and watching for cars every time we leave or drive home. I also said that we don't even drive into the cul-de-sac, so why is it a continuous issue? She then said that the kids play on the road and she is trying to keep everybody safe as her kids don't often watch for vehicles. Sounds like a them problem. Sounds like natural selection to me. To which I replied that I understood that. However, if she is that concerned about the kids, then maybe she shouldn't be letting them play on the road, and if us doing the posted speed limit is an issue, maybe she should contact the police or the town to change it. They haven't said anything to either of my parents, despite them driving basically the same way as my boyfriend and I on the road. So we were thinking that they were just saying things to the younger drivers. Yeah, they thought they could intimidate you because you're younger. As my friend who lives 2 houses down from us has also been told to slow down. I'm unsure if they have said anything to the other young adults and teen who drive in the neighborhood, but I can only assume they have. Has anyone dealt with a similar situation? How did you go about it? Or are there any suggestions on what to do going forward? No. Watch your speed. No. Slow down. No. My kids are playing on the road. And? That's it. That's all you have to say. You're just deal with it the way you're dealing with it. You're already going the speed limit. Or below. Which, generally, I think most people would be inclined to as they're getting close to home anyway. You don't want to overshoot and end up in somebody else's house. But just keep telling her no. Because you're not doing anything wrong. You can't make any adjustments further than that because you're doing everything right. They've just got it in their heads that anybody who's younger must be speeding. Tell her if she's got a problem with you to call the fucking police. They won't. And even if the cops do come out, what are they going to do? Arrest you for going the speed limit? Fifth and final story today is She Thinks It's Her House by Peaches and Granola. I have a neighbor. She lives behind me. When I first moved in, I was keeping my lawn at a nice, lush 5-inch height. She had decided to help me one day by mowing my lawn while I was at work. Came home to find she'd cut it right down into the soil. Soon I had dandelions instead of lawn. When I got home that day, I found her on her knees with a pair of scissors reaching under our fence and trying to cut the lawn in my backyard. I told her we don't need help and don't cut our lawn anymore. Now, we spent a ton of money and labor installing a new, beautiful fence around our back and side yard. The fence posts were all painted black, and my husband was very proud of his work. Soon discover that the neighbor has taken it upon herself to use her gas weed trimmer on the boulevard in front of our house and is chewing up our brand new fence posts. Document it, sue her. I go over to her house, politely thank her for helping us, take a more antagonistic approach with her, but remind her that we prefer to look after our lawn ourselves. She starts yelling in my face that everyone in the neighborhood hates me and that everyone hates my garden. Projection. I tell her that I'm not here to trade insults. I just want her to stay out of my space. I overhear her telling a new neighbor that I don't look after my yard. I see her at my place of work and she glares at me. General bad vibes, but whatever. Last week I returned home from a trip to find someone had left a bunch of broken shelving on the boulevard in front of my house. This happens sometimes in this town. The shelving is about 6 feet high. There are 3 pieces. They are upright and spread out across the boulevard. I look at them and see they're quite rotten and not in great shape. I decided to put them all into a pile laying down, and then call the town to ask them to pick up and discard. I go back inside and suddenly hear the shelving being moved around. I go back outside and see the shelves are once again upright and spread across the boulevard. I start putting them back into a pile. The neighbor comes storming out of her house, screaming at me to leave the shelves the way she wants them. Keep in mind, this is in front of my house. I tell her no. I tell her to calm down, that I'm calling the town. She calls me a pathetic bitch, screaming all the while. I continue piling the furniture. She screams her way back into her house. I go back inside and hear both her and her husband screaming and yelling. I'm considering calling the police non-emergency line to file a complaint. I've been here for 6 years, so it's not the worst case scenario, but is definitely unsettling and seems to be getting worse. To be clear, we have always left these people alone. We work hard. Our garden is well cared for. Ooh, right, well, it doesn't sound like you have cameras, so you need to get those installed right away. Document any future shenanigans or damage that she does to your property, because that's essentially what she's doing here, property damage. Keep a record of these things. If it does escalate enough, then it's probably time to call the police, because right now you don't have any proof that she's done anything. You know it's her. I mean, I think we all know that it's her, but you do need proof, so get those cameras up, front and back. And if there's a side, get them on the side as well. Always good to have evidence before you call the authorities. I'm assuming the police where you live would even do anything, so hopefully they would. As I always say, some police forces are better than others. But I think that's your best way forward. Beyond that, just ignore her. She really has no business being on your property anyway. I mean, there can be certain situations where people might need access to somebody's back garden, if it's a maintenance thing, if it's an emergency, a city ordinance or something like that. But a neighbour really has no reason to be accessing your property. Warn her. You've already told her to stay away from you, and if she keeps coming on, maybe get a no trespassing sign up, if you don't already have one, because you've warned her off and she should know not to be coming on your property. Best of luck with it. Okay, that's the end of today's video. Big thanks to everyone who allowed me to use their stories. If you'd like to support the channel, you can sign up for my Patreon page, which is linked in the description. $1 or more a month gets you early access to all the videos at once on Monday. You'll also find a link to my merchandise store, which is currently over on Teespring, my Discord server, my Threads account, and my email, which is kingofthecities@gmail.com. That's everything for now, so until next time, thank you very much for watching, and take very good care of yourselves.